September 8, 1979, Dr. Brenner goes to work at Hawkins' lab, conducting some tests on 10. During these tests, 10 senses something wrong as the alarms go off and the door slams open, knocking Brenner out. He awakens to find all the test subjects dead, with 11 stood in the Rainbow Room soaked in blood. 7 years later, 11 is struggling at her new school, lying to Mike. After Billy's death, Max is also struggling, pushing everyone away, including Lucas, who's a member of the high school basketball team. Back in California, Joyce receives a package from Russia. Inside she finds a doll. Smashing it open, there's a message revealing that Hopper's alive. Chrissy, Jason's girlfriend, who's captain of the basketball team, is being haunted by a creature, hearing her mother's voice torment her. Eddie, leader of the D&D group, the Hellfire Club, meets with Chrissy and they hit it off as he supplies her with drugs. Before this meeting, Chrissy sees a grandfather clock protruding from a tree, spiders crawling from out of it. That night, Max sees her go to Eddie's place for something stronger. Chrissy is put into a trance as she's stalked by this creature again, cornered and then killed, her body floating and bones snapping as she falls to the ground, dead in front of Eddie. Hopper lives. He managed to survive the explosion under Hawkins, but was captured by the Russians. Present day, Max awakens to police cars outside. She sees the mangled body of Chrissy on the floor of Eddie's cabin. Meanwhile, Mike arrives in California visiting Elle. The police question Jason, revealing to him that Chrissy was with Eddie last night, insinuating he may have killed her. Max goes to Dustin and explains the situation, telling him she saw Eddie run out of his cabin last night, scared. Nancy and Fred arrive at the cabin, looking to investigate the story. Her and Jonathan aren't really talking, with Jonathan wanting to change his plans for the future without her having to sacrifice her own plans. At the skate rink, Elle is bullied by Angela and her classmates in front of Mike. With Murray arriving in California also, Joyce calls the number left on the note, speaking with a guard of the prison Hopper is being kept in. He wants $40,000 in exchange for Hopper's return. Nancy approaches Eddie's uncle, who claims Chrissy's body was mangled the same way Victor Krill did to his family years ago. Fred meanwhile wanders off, hearing the ticking of a grandfather clock. Consumed with anger, Elle grabs a skate and hits Angela around the head. Max, Dustin, Steve, and Robin find a hiding Eddie who explains what happened, giving a name to what may have done this: Vecna. At that moment, Fred is chased by that same being that got Chrissy. Stuck in a trance, he rises, bones snapping and eyes bursting. Dr. Owens is approached by the army, being accused of hiding 11, who they suspect is responsible for the killings in Hawkins. The cops find Fred's body as L2 is picked up by the cops for attacking Angela. Murray and Joyce are out of town, travelling to Alaska, going after Hopper, whilst Elle is collected by Dr. Owens. He wants Elle's help. He thinks he can bring her powers back and get rid of this threat in Hawkins for good. Meanwhile, Max realizes the connection between Chrissy and Fred. The symptoms they've shown are similar to hers, all victims of trauma. Suddenly she hears the ticking as Vecna calls her name. Lucas joins them, revealing Jason and his friends are after Eddie, wanting to make him pay for killing Chrissy. Nancy and Robin have a plan to go and visit Krill to work out how he survived this demon all those years ago. With Elle going with him, Dr. Owens sends his people to keep Mike, Will and Jonathan safe. Joyce and Murray arrive in Alaska, meeting with Yuri, paying him. Thinking it's over for her, Max gives her friends and family letters as the trances get worse. Owens' men are attacked, with Mike, Will and Jonathan escaping with Jonathan's friend Argyle. Hopper escapes the prison meanwhile, making it to the pickup spot agreed upon. However, Yuri made a deal with the Russians, selling Hopper out, keeping the $40,000 and capturing Murray and Joyce. Nancy and Robin speak with Creel, who claims he didn't kill his family, it was some sort of demon haunting his new home. As Max reads one of the letters to Billy's grave, she slips into a trance again. Nancy and Robin realise Creel survived Vecna through music somehow. As Max begins to rise, Lucas puts on her favourite song, giving her a lifeline back to reality, escaping Vecna. As one of Owens' men bleeds out, he tells them to find Nina, giving them a pen. Meanwhile, Owens takes Elle to a top-secret base, to the Nina Project, where they find Dr. Brenner alive and well. Hopper and his guard friend are imprisoned together as Yuri flies Joyce and Murray to Russia to join them. Max draws what she saw in her trance, with Nancy piecing it together, realizing it's Victor Creel's house. Elle wakes up back in Hawkins' lab. She's reliving old memories in a bid to reawaken her powers. Mike finds a number hidden in the pen given to them. Meanwhile, Nancy, Robin, Dustin, Steve, Lucas and Max look around Creel's house, finding the clock the victims keep seeing. Elle starts reliving her memories. She was considered weak and looked down on by her peers. Meanwhile, flying high above Russia, Joyce and Murray overpower Yuri, crash landing the plane. Jason and his friends find Eddie's hiding spot, forcing him to escape out on the lake. They go after him, but one of Jason's friends starts to hear the ticking of the clock as he flies up and is killed. Awake, Elle tries to escape, presenting her powers for the first time since Starcourt, but her work's not done yet as she goes back with Brenner. The cops speak with Jason as Eddie gets away. He tells them he believes Eddie is a vessel for the devil. Revisiting her memories, Elle speaks with a friendly worker at the lab who tells her she reminds him of one. At a town meeting discussing the murders, Jason claims they're satanic rituals done by the Hellfire Club, egging the community to hunt him down themselves. Meeting up with Eddie, the Hawkins crew discover that gates open at the sites of the murders. With the help of the friendly worker, young Elle starts to control her powers, overpowering two in one of Brenner's exercises. Later on, she's attacked by the other test subjects, jealous of her power. Back at the prison, Hopper and the guard are set to be fed to the Demogorgon for sport. Fattening them up with one last meal, Hopper steals some alcohol and a lighter in a bid to survive the attack. With Susie's help, they get hold of the location of the Nina Project. Steve, Robin, Nancy and Eddie go back out on the lake where Jason's friend was killed. Steve dives in and is pulled down through the gate formed there, with the others following him in. Wanting to excel 11's progress, Brenner pulls the tapes from the day the test subjects were killed. The Upside Down group head to Nancy's house to collect her guns to protect themselves. Meanwhile, Murray pretends to be Yuri in the hope of sneaking into the Russian prison with Joyce. In her memories, Brenner confronts the other test subjects, punishing two for harming 11. Getting to the house, Nancy can't find her guns, discovering in her diary they're in the past, November 6th, 1983, the day Will went missing. They realise that they can also hear Dustin and the others back in the real world. They use the lights like Will did to call for help. In her memories, the nice worker tells Elle that Brenner is planning on letting two kill her. He's afraid of Elle's power. The worker wants to help her escape. The Hawkins crew travel to Eddie's place, planning to meet the Upside Down crew at the gate that should be there in theory. In her memories, Elle sees Brenner take 10 out for some tests. She sneaks out during this and meets with the friendly worker. She helps take out his tracker so that they can escape together. Meanwhile, in Russia, Joyce and Murray watch as Hopper faces the Demogorgon, fire at the ready. He and the guards stay alive long enough for Murray and Joyce to free them, reuniting. The guards find Elle and the worker, but the chip wasn't just a tracker, it suppressed his powers. He is one. At the gates, one by one, they climb back through to the real world. When it gets to Nancy's turn, she falls back inside the Upside Down. She's Vecna's next victim, stuck in a trance. She sees the Krill house, realizing Krill's son was the demon. He had powers and was torturing his family. Dr. Brenner picked him up as a boy and tried to recreate his powers in others when he realized he could not control him. In Eleven's memories, she discovers he was the one that killed the other test subjects, not her. She refuses to join him in reshaping the world as they see fit. After a struggle, with a burst of energy, Elle tears a hole through reality, opening up the very first gate to the Upside Down, sending him through it. Inside this dimension, he's deformed and transformed by it, molding into Vecna.